Welcome to the Tech Story Podcast, where storytellers kibitz about technology that makes us go, what's that about? Now introducing your host, Doug Thompson.
In this week's episode of the Tech Story Podcast, we meet Jim White. He started his entrepreneurial career 5 years old when he started collecting Coke bottles to help the family out. He met his dad for the first time at 12. First job as a crane operator at 12 years old. He was in the Special Forces in Vietnam. Then he came out to the corporate world where he's bought, rehabbed, and sold 23 companies. And he's written a new book about opportunity investing. He's inspiring a true discovery on how to revitalize low-income communities across America with qualified opportunity zones and funds. Sit back, relax, and enjoy meeting Jim White. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Tech Story. I am blessed this morning to have Jim White along with me for the ride. And Jim, if you don't know, he's done some amazing things. He was a high school dropout. He's got a PhD. He's bought and sold and helped companies and worked all around the world. And he started a folding cart. We were just talking earlier. We'll try to kick off that. So Jim, welcome to the story. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Doug. As I said, high school dropout. I'm 72 years old, and it's a good way to start with that because I go backwards, and I say I'm 72 going on 28, so there's a lot in front. As a youngster, I was abandoned as a kid. Most people, and at 5 years old, and so different people would take me in, and so I started young, trying to figure out how to be an entrepreneur. And if you can think about a 5-year-old trying to figure out how to survive, well, that was the case. And as hard as you look back, it's hard to understand that. So fast forward, I met my dad for the first time when I was 12, and he was a crane operator and very abusive. A lot of alcohol involved, and so I learned early on at 12 that I had to do some different things to be able to survive, and. But one good thing that he gave me was a skill. At 12 years old, I was on a crane in the 60s, operating a crane. So I put a plan together. We're just talking about before we came on the air, put a plan together. 5 years, what I wanted to be. So I had to go. When I became 16 years old, I'd have $5,000. I'd have a car. I would leave. I would go on my own, which I did. And as I said, that's when I had to drop out of high school. And started working construction, going on job sites and lying about my age. Well, I was supposed to be 20 when I was 16. Well, I don't know how these people bought any of that stuff, but anyway, they did. And I remember one of the first interviews I had as a crane operator back in the day. It was rough. It was tough. It was in the South, and I drive up on this job site, and the foreman says, what do you want, boy? I said, I'm looking for a job. And he said, what do you do? I'm a crane operator. He said, stick around here for a moment. At lunch, you see that machine over there? Go get on it and show me what you can do. That was an interview, and that was a real-time interview. So I got on it and never got off of it. So the other guy came back unfortunately, from lunch. I had his job. And so that started different things. And then I'm an Army veteran, 2 tours in Vietnam, a Special Forces guy, and I got out of the Army and got accepted to Georgia Tech. And so going from a high school dropout to getting ready for Georgia Tech. And I every time I go to the mail on a daily basis, I'm looking for a letter to say, send me your diploma back, so to make sure that we had things. So things moved ahead, and it's always been the vision. It's always been, like we're talking about, storytelling, and have the ability to communicate and still tell the story and connect with people in a very authentic way. And that's me. And I went on, I worked around the world, bought companies, turned around companies, and still doing it today.
Well, that's an amazing. Just there were so many things that we could dig into there. It'd take a lifetime to get through it. So I'm glad you've got some books that are going on. But it's funny. It's the ability to, when you're telling a story and you truly believe it and you've lived it, and that's it. It just comes across. It's a natural type thing that people believe you. That and that's a skill that you can learn. You learn because you had to survive. Others of us sort of learn along the way. Through some trial and error, or and we all learn through trial and error. Well, that story didn't work, and let me go try another one. So we've all had those failures that we've had to sort of go on. Well, it reminds me, and you're of a generation which would remember the Music Man, and the whole theme of that is he's selling all that stuff he didn't. It's not that kind of salesman.
That's
but,
right.
But
Love that.
We did that. So you bought and expanded and sold 23 companies. So when you're buying a company that you can turn around. This is not like Wall Street where they're buying and breaking up things and all that. It's not like that. Right. But or the movie Wall Street. I don't want to say that. But what do you look for? Because there's hundreds of companies at any given time that can be bought. What are you looking for? What's the story that you're looking for?
I am looking for a company that has a certain amount, I'm going to use the term brand recognition. And again, we're not talking about big major brands, but that have been around for a while. And I'm looking strictly I'm looking at my staff. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at my staff. I'm looking at the staff and utilization of and productivity. And I don't want to get too far into putting matrix to what I mean by that. But I'm looking for people. I'm looking for attitude. Mm-hmm. I am looking for attitude and can do, and someone that we can look in the eye and we can believe. We can believe that we can do things that people can even imagine we could do together. Mm-hmm. So I primarily look at attitude and style. The rest of it, blocking and tackling and process and procedures and those type of things, you got to have those as well. But without them, you cannot be as successful as you'd like to be. So I look at attitude, and at the same time, if I find anybody that does not have the attitude, I don't hesitate cutting it. And that sounds very rigid, but you've got to have a positive attitude that people want to be on your team and trust you and believe in you. And even when things get tough, and things will get tough. I've had a lot of failures through these years, and I often tell people, yes, I bought and sold 23 companies. Have they all been the way I want them to be? Absolutely not. But the difference is you recognize it, you make a decision, you get rid of it, you move ahead, you don't let it bring you down. So I continue to go find the attitude. Excuse me.
Sure. It sounds like there's a couple things in there. One, I think the attitude, somehow attitude of the leadership or whatever got them to the situation where they were at, right? And it's bad decisions or economic, who could know, like restaurants today with the whole COVID and you're not in there. I mean,
right.
Good Lord, that's out of their control. Nobody could plan for that. But if you're looking for the attitude of the people that are there, the core of the people are there, that say we just need some leadership to get us out of it, is what it sounds like. And your 5-year plan of 16, I'm going to be out of here and I have to do these other things.
Right. Yeah, it is that, and I can say, even to my staff and to people I coach when I was doing more coaching and consulting, what separates us is to be able to adjust faster than the next guy. I'm going to use no offense to the ladies or anyone, next guy. When you have a very difficult environment, we have things that's going to happen. It's going to go sideways. It's going to go south. And there's going to be things that's out of our control. I agree with that. But at the same time, we have got to, the entrepreneurs, we have got to have a plan together. I got a plan A, B, C, D, E, and F, and I keep going on and on, and I keep fighting even in this day and age, and with the COVID and this horrible situation that occurred, I have not been busier. Because I look at those opportunities and say, okay, just be careful. Just don't go too low here, and just don't go too high. But we got an opportunity, so I'm always looking for that opportunity and that attitude, and planning and executing and making sure that people's got a smile on their face and say, "Man, I'm in.
Yeah.
I want to go on this journey with you." So that's what I look for.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a lot of that was brought up and instilled from your past when you didn't have and you don't live there. The past is the past. You can learn from it, but you can't live there. And too many people, I think, try to live in the past, and it turns them into victims or turns them into these other things when it's like the past has made us who we are, for one thing, and what we do with it is from this moment forward. That's within our control. We can't change the past, but we can work on what's today. And that sounds like that's what you bring to this.
It is, Doug. You can't change the past, nor do I live in the past. Like I said, I learned from it. And I was on a production meeting this morning with one of our teams, and I said, what happened last week is done. There's a lot of things that we did well. There's a lot of things that we did badly, but it's over. Mm-hmm. What did we learn from it? What are we going to do today? By 5 o'clock today, what are we going to do? What are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do in 2021? All of those things. And to be able to keep that communication going and to be able to keep that excitement going, and at the same time, making sure as a entrepreneur, as a CEO, as a leader, that you give the resources, that you have the resources. Resources I define as the money and the material and the things and stuff to get it done. There's a lot of companies that make bad decisions. They get too far out on the limb. They haven't done the planning to have the financial resources to support them, because when you have those bad things come. So I'm always looking. I have a strategic plan. October of every year, I will take my team off site, and I'm always got a 5-year plan, and I'm working backwards. And those plans always work? No, they change. They changed in 2020, so we had to adjust. On the dime. So.
I guess that goes back to some of your special forces. All the battle plans and stuff look really good till you meet the enemy, and then things change.
That is so true. We train. And I remember I had a drill sergeant that said, "This is great," but when you get into battle, some of this stuff you're going to forget, and there's a certain amount of instincts, but instincts combined with that hard skill of training, right? So you've got to get in the heat of the battle before you really know what you're made of. And I don't suggest people that they got to cut their wrists to know it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Well, but you got to have a certain level of experience and confidence. Confidence is another thing. Confidence in your ability, and just short of not being arrogant. There's that's not the arrogance or the mean-spirited. That's another thing that I'm looking at. You asked a question earlier. I'm looking at the company. I don't want the arrogance. In a quick story, I bought one company. He was a salesperson. You and I come from sales. He was one of the top producers, but every time he came into the office, he was like a bull in a china shop. And he was like, so I called him in one day and I said, you're one of our top performers, but I'm going to have to let you go. And he was so arrogant, like he was just shocked. Well, how can you do that? I'm the top producer. I said, easy.
Yeah.
I got a cab waiting for you outside. So give me the keys and a credit card and move ahead. The story. Yeah. Next day at a sales meeting, all the people come up and said, "What took you so long to make that decision?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
what took you so long?
Yeah. It is amazing, because I've seen those people as well. That it's all about them. It's not about the team, and all this stuff is a team effort. Go back to your special. You have to have trust in your team that they're going to do their part of it, that they're in the same, and you have the same alignment of goals, so that you're all pulling in the same direction. And that it requires that. That's just something that you have to have. Now you sort of taken it on. You talked about opportunity and before. Now you've looked at this. You have two opportunity funds. So talk to us a little bit about that. About the two things you got going on there.
Yeah. December 2017, under the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, there was one little carve out, and I know we're short on time, so I would be very concise. There was a little carve out under the Tax Act, and it had reference to qualified opportunity zones. What's that mean? Treasury in each state identified zones within the United States. There's 8,800 zones in the United States that falls on the 60% of the median income. So the objective was there's $7.6 trillion unrealized capital gains sitting on the sideline. So the Fed said, hey, all right, if you have capital gains and you invest in a qualified opportunity zone and invest in business, you can reduce your basis at that time up to 10%, reduce your basis on your Fed tax. And if you keep the investment in that zone for 10 years, all of the appreciation once you exit is tax-free. So I found that intriguing. One of our companies that we have is in Salinas, California, and we have 28 acres, 300,000 square feet, which is in the ag industry, cooler. And so we're in the zone. So I looked at it. I set up the first PhD Opportunity Fund in February 2018 with a way to redevelop the campus and at the same time create more jobs. And I'm looking at for social impact. How can I actually measure and kick, not just talk about it, but measure and kick the success of that? So that's one of the initiatives that we have right now, just trying to find investments for investors, get into these zones, create jobs and infrastructure, renewable energy, the infrastructure is a big deal. Our infrastructure is falling apart in America. And for us to be able to invest in that, put people to work.
No, I like, and it's sort of the rising tide raises all boats in this case. You know, there's some people who look at us, well, you're just trying to profit. Well, you know, we're all in business to make a profit, but you're investing in areas that otherwise wouldn't get that. So, I mean, it is something, everybody gets something out of that, and you're attracting people to bring money in to go do that, whatever their incentive is. But that's a great way of showing that you're giving back and really changing lives in the process of doing that, which is a story you can live back. So here's a question I didn't prepare you for on that. So let's speed ahead 100 years, because I want to, we may live 99, but I figured let's speed ahead 100 years. And, what's the one comment, and you've written a book and you get all these comments and reviews about it. What's the one review that would mean the most to you that sort of reflects on your life? What would it say?
What would they say? What would that review say?
Yeah. I don't want to say tombstone. That's too morbid. I like a review of a book.
I would say that for the review to say that the information that I'm sharing is, I'm going to use the word no nonsense. It will, if you will follow what's laid out in the book, it will help impact your life in a positive way. So that's important to me. I'm sure I could say it better, wordsmith it better, but I'd like for someone to say, hey, this guy actually, he's had a certain amount of success. Yeah, he came from here, but he's actually dedicated his life to trying to help people in a positive and take the bipartisan or the partisan crazy politics that we have in America and just trying to help people. And I say that every day, and people say, geez, Jim, how can you be so naive and be 72 years old? I said, well, I choose to be naive because I am not going to give up on the mission to be able to invest. And if I can get one person walk down the street and says, hey, thank you for helping us out, well, that's been a pretty good day. So
no, I totally agree.
I'm not sure I answered the question.
No, you did. And you got very elegant about it at the end. And it's the fact that says, we're in, if you ever give up hope, then you've lost and everything. So then you're like one of the other companies, somebody will be buying and trying to rehab your company at that point in time, because it's that attitude of, we're going to get through this. We're, it manifests itself, because if you have that attitude, this is law of attraction, but you attract people of the like mind, and the things that you can do together, you're unstoppable. I mean, you'll have roadblocks, you'll have hips, bumps in the way, but it's that attitude and that mindset that's gotten you to where you are at 28. Where your physical age is 28.
Right.
I'm still like 12 or 13. Right? Yeah, my daughter says, "What are you, 13?" Every time I tell her something. So, but it's that thing that keeps us young and makes people want to be around you and follow you, because you are that leader that inspires others to be the best that they can be. And I've talked to Scott Klein, one of your assistants, and he's as every bit of busy and rock star as you are with that. But I can see where that comes from, and it just sort of builds upon itself. So I want to thank you.
I tell you what a gift he is. What a gift he is.
He's fantastic. I was on his radio show the other day. It was great. So what's the best way to get a hold of you? And I'll put the opportunity funds, I'll put those links in the bio into there. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Best way, a good one for me, come directly to me, would be authorjimwhite.com.
Okay.
Authorjimwhite.com. That's my little private playground. And I do respond. I enjoy getting questions, and I do everything I can to respond to every one of them. So authorjimwhite.com is a good place to do that.
Well, there you heard it. Go to authorjimwhite.com. Follow this fantastic human that's doing great things for humanity out there, and you will be remembered. You will have that. Even if I have to write it, you will have that thing on that book review on there. So thanks a lot, Jim. Have a great 2021.
My pleasure. You too, Doug. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Tech Story Podcast, and it would really be helpful if you would go out to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast, and rate it. Give it a 5-star, because it helps other people find the podcast. It really raises the visibility, and it would mean the world to me if you would do that.